Hola a todos, aquí Tori 22 continuamos con los crímenes de Aquí. Estamos, yo creo que en el final, hemos reunido a toda la gente de lo que sé, los más cercanos de los tres asesinatos que han habido. Hay uno que está detenido, que es sospechoso, pero creemos que es inocente. Y entonces hemos reunido a todos los acompañantes. Hay, hay meninos siempre por ahí, ¿eh? ¿Os habéis fijado? Hay meninos. Entonces, le he pedido a Hastings que lleve un arma por si acaso en esta reunión. O sea, que aquí se puede liar. Y las he cargado con balas de fogueo. Espero no arrepentirme. Porque aquí no puedes volver atrás en una grabación. Espero que no muera nadie, sino que me dejen volver atrás. O grabar otra imagen, porque volver a hacer todo. No. Me he arriesgado con balas de fogueo. Porque a lo mejor si mato al asesino no puede cumplir con el crimen y yo quiero que cumpla con el crimen que ha hecho. Ha matado a 3 personas. ¿Por qué se equivocó el asesino en la dirección? ¿Y no la dirección? El error en la dirección provocó un retraso. A ver, trozo de sobre con la dirección incorrecta, la dirección de por. Yo creo que está entre estas, ¿sabes? Sigo con la sesión en la dirección. El error fue intencionado. ¿Por qué envió el asesino sus cartas a Hércules Poirot para hacerse conocido? ¿Para compensar un complejo? Ya podría. La fama no es. Complejo tampoco. No es muy conocida.
Is everything clear now?
No.
You might like to explain your reasoning again.
Of course. First of all, remember that the murderer made it a rule to always post his letter before the murder. He never digressed from that rule. However, in Churston, he encountered a problem. The village has only 500 inhabitants. With advance warning, it would be easy to arrest him. Therefore, the murderer delayed his letters deliberately with the wrong address. The plan wouldn't have worked if he'd sent it to Scotland Yard or the papers because everybody knows their addresses. The mistake would have been corrected and the letter would have been on time. That is why the murderer chose me as the recipient.
Because for his plan to succeed, it was necessary for at least one of the letters to have a wrong address and get lost. It was very cunning.
Absolument. It is a very subtle plan. It matches the profile we have drawn up of him perfectly. That of an intelligent, daring and calculating murderer.
But that's not how you describe Cust.
You are quite right, mademoiselle. Like you, I find it hard to believe that this dull character is the clever murderer we are looking for.
'Do madmen, I mean, If he's mad, he might have two very different sides.
No doubt. But the murderer is not mad. All the specialists agree that he does not have the profile of the psychopath.
But if Cust is not guilty, how do you explain his presence at the scene of the crimes?
Mr. Clark, the answer to your question is in the medical records of your brother's patients. Documents which Cust most certainly did not have access to.
O sea,
Let
¿cuál
us now
puede ser, hermano?
try and get our brain cells to work.
Porque es que lo único que tenían información allí era el hermano de la tercera víctima y la mujer. ¿Qué sabemos sobre Cust? Es influenciable. Cosa psíquicamente frágil y manipulable. ¿Cómo explica la presencia de Cust en los lugares del crimen? Pues prácticamente es una coincidencia que fuera... No, eso no. No creo que fuera una coincidencia. No. Que no lo tengo claro, chicos. El asesino manipuló a Kurt pidiéndole que fuera a las localidades de las víctimas para desviar la atención, pero este no mató a nadie.
Dr. Clark's patients' records provided a very useful list of potential victims, sorted by alphabetical order. The killer definitely used it, explaining the fact that all the victims were former patients of the doctor. It is this fact that clears Cust once and for all, because he never had access to these records. So how did he happen to be at the scene of the crimes? Either the murderer sent him there, or Cust was following him closely. Cust's highly suggestible nature leads us to the second hypothesis. The murderer was manipulating him. He systematically sent Cust to the towns where he was going to strike, so that the suspicion would land on the poor man's shoulder.
That's evil. What sort of killer could have such a plan? And what would he gain from three completely different murders?
Desviar la atención
Indeed,
de
it
uno.
seems unlikely that the same murderer committed all the crimes. What should we take from that?
Exactamente. Que solamente había uno que tenía interés para el asesino.
Just one murder was of benefit to the murderer. The others were just diversions. On reflection, there is only one conclusion. The murderer killed once out of interest, and twice to divert our attention. This reasoning points at two potential culprits.
Franklin Clark.
Donald Fraser?
Yes, mademoiselle, that's good thinking. Mr. Fraser may have killed Betty out of jealousy. Mr. Clark may have killed his brother in order to inherit his large fortune. Both have a motive.
But Donald did not have access to Dr. Clark's records.
Please allow me to disagree with you, mademoiselle.
Donald fue tratado por el Dr. Clark.
Donald, too, has been treated by the doctor.
You're quite wrong, Mr. Poirot, and it shouldn't be difficult to prove.
Oui, please excuse me. It was a slip of the tongue. This is what I wanted to say.
Me he equivocado.
Donald, Sir Carmichael was one of your firm's customers. We found a surveyor's report among his papers that proves it.
Me he equivocado.
It doesn't prove that I went to Comeside.
You could have done it. And you may have used the opportunity to take a look at Sir Carmichael's records.
Do you think I'm guilty?
You or Mr. Franklin Clark?
That's ridiculous.
Both of you have a motive. The question is, which of you has the profile that most resembles the murderer? Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Vale, uno. Efectivamente, volvemos a este asesinato. Si no le importa y verá de qué manera tan brillante fue ejecutado. ¿Donald es astuto? Es brillante. Donald se muestra seguro de sí mismo. Influenciable. El hombre sedujo a Betty antes de llevarla a la playa, donde la estranguló. Es seductor. ¿A Donald le gustan los trenes? Irascible. Generoso. No coincide en dos cosas o tres.
Ladies and gentlemen, Donald may share many character traits with the murderer, but he does not have his cold indifference. He has a temper. It is hard to imagine him planning anything. Also, jealousy is his motive, and crimes of passion are rarely planned.
Right, I suppose it's my turn to be subjected to the same scrutiny.
Absolument, Mr. Clark. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Vale. Brillante. Pues sí, era brillante. Seguro de sí mismo. Sí, seguro de sí mismo. Seductor. Es seductor. ¿Te gustan los trenes? ¿Te gustan los trenes? ¿Es frío? También. Generoso, ya hemos visto que pagaba los gastos.
As you have all seen, there is a disturbing similarity between Mr. Clark's profile and that of the killer. In actual fact, it is exactly the same.
Mr. Poirot, your psychological studies are interesting, but your conclusions do not add up. Why would I have wished my brother's death? The inheritance is lawfully mine. I just have to wait.
No, you had to act quickly.
Zora y suponía un estorbo.
Because of Miss Grey. Mademoiselle, although you haven't been telling the truth, there is no doubt in my mind that you would have found a way to marry Sir Carmichael after Lady Clark's death. For you, Mr. Clark, it was a disaster. If Miss Grey had children by your brother, you would not have inherited a thing. You realized the danger after reading several letters from Comside, especially one in which your brother opened his heart to you. So you hurried home from China, and you took action. In truth, Cust was no more than a puppet manipulated by the real culprit. You, Mr. Clark.
Such an imagination, Mr. Poirot. In fact, nobody manipulated Cust. The famous instructions he received by post. He wrote them on the typewriter. We know that for sure.
Oh no. You know perfectly well. That is not true. Eh bien voilà. Light has now been shed on the ABC murders.
Your theories are ingenious, but you haven't any proof.
One point to him. For the moment, I have no material proof. Either I admit to it, or I bluff.
No, decir que sea fácil no tengo pruebas.
Proof is easy to find now that we know where to look.
You have nothing on me. You're bluffing, Mr. Poirot. Come on, Thora, there's nothing for us to do here.
Don't touch me.
Thora!
I understand why you never wanted to lend me your new typewriter, and why you were searching through your brother's things. And the hole you dug on the moors.
¿El agujero en el
What did you
páramo?
hide there? The knife you used to kill your brother?
All right. Well played. I lose. The game's up.
¡Ostras!
Don't come near me!
Suerte que le he puesto la de fogueo.
I'll never let you take me, Mr. Poirot.
Las armas las carga el diablo.
I'm sorry, Mr. Clark, there is no easy death for you. I expected your reaction, so I used blanks. I'm sorry, mademoiselle, but your second chance has been lost. Franklin Clark will never inherit his brother's fortune.
Qué bueno. Qué bueno, qué bueno. Ahora, detenido.
Disappointed at having missed the chance to become Lady Clark, Thora Grey left England. Donald Fraser and Megan Barnard married. On Poirot's recommendation, Mary Drower started to work for Lady Clark. The elderly lady's condition suddenly took a turn for the better. And a few months later, to Dr. Logan's great surprise, she was back on her feet again. According to this eminent physician, it appears to be an extremely rare case of spontaneous remission. Lady Clark has enjoyed very good health ever since. Journal of an Innocent, the incredible story of ABC. As for A.B. Cust, after being advised by Poirot, he made a great deal of money by selling his story to the press. And as for me, and with business booming, the Black Swan has become the #1 tourist attraction in the whole of Yorkshire, even more popular than York Minster.
Qué grande el final. Pasa la novela de los crímenes de ABC de Agatha Christie. Qué bueno, qué bueno. Ha sido una gran historia. Vamos a ver. Progresión 100%. Me ha faltado algo para conseguir todos los puntos de ego. Vamos a mirar las bonificaciones. Historial. Eso está bien. Esto puede ser que esté chulo de hacer. Que es para mirar cómo sucedió todas las cosas desde el punto de vista del malo. Una especie de como de reconstrucción. O sea, son cosas que no se ha visto todavía. Detenciones y demás. Tiene que estar muy chulo de ver. Pero no lo voy a mostrar aquí. Trofeos creo que están casi todos. Ojo de águila me faltará asno mulo, creo que está tan muy mal a la gente. Gatito, no sé, me faltan muy pocos. Incienso, bigote, alguno. Black Swan, no he ido ya a Black Swan. Humo de dragón, me faltan poquitos trofeos, pero creo que ha sido bastante bien. Me ha encantado este juego, es un juego que no tiene ningún puzzle loco. Los puzzles son algunos complicados, pero se pueden hacer. Me costó el del mapa, tenía que haber mirado lo de el norte es el sur y haber puesto más o menos como tenía que ser. Creo que esa era la pista, pero por todo lo demás bien. Y la verdad que la historia está muy chula para jugar en un fin de semana tranquilamente. ¿Qué me habrá durado? 8 o 10 horas, tranquilamente. 9. Bueno, es un buen juego que por 2 o 3 euros lo podéis tener tranquilamente de oferta. También lo podéis encontrar en móviles. Lo he visto yo en Android, que se ve prácticamente igual. Lo que pasa es que no es lo mismo jugar en una pantalla pequeña que en una grande. Y si no me acuerdo mal, también lo tenéis en la consola. Yo estoy jugando para PC. Si os gusta el misterio y jugar a buenos juegos de aventura gráfica, que siempre va bien para relajarse, os recomiendo este juego de Agatha Christie, de Murders. Un placer haberlo traído aquí al canal y que lo hayáis disfrutado conmigo. ¿Cuál será el próximo juego? Bueno, ya lo iremos viendo. Nos vemos, gente. Hasta luego. Chao.